Hello and good evening, everybody. Hope you're ready for some more reading. As you can now tell, I have my therapy buddies with me. So without further ado, I think we should begin. First, I want to quickly talk about something. On here, you can see this thing here. Where is it? I'll quickly read it. An inspiring, uplifting read. I wish I had it as a kid. Dermot O'Leary. Now, the thing that puzzles me about that quote is that just how much more does Dermot O'Leary think he would have achieved if he had this book as a kid? I'd love to know. Because for those of you outside the UK, you most likely would not have heard of Dermot O'Leary. He was a TV presenter in the early zeros and done presenting work since. And now he's a DJ on Radio 2. I believe he does the Saturday morning show at 8 o'clock after Tony Blackburn does the 60s show. So he's achieved a lot in life, I think, as old Dermot O'Leary. I wonder if he had dreams of sport on that. Maybe. I'm not going to read his biography because I don't really... I mean, no offence to Dermot O'Leary, but I have no real interest in reading his biography. Seems a nice enough person, so I wish him luck with the future. Although I've never actually listened to his radio show. I don't really listen to radio that time of day. But doesn't matter. On with the book, shall we? Excuse me. The Secret of Practice. Check out these tales that uncover the practice secret and demonstrate how effective practice really boosts your performance. First of all, we have Lionel Messi. As you all know, the greatest footballer to ever exist. In my opinion, anyway. This international soccer star played a sport called futsal when he was young. Futsal is a version of football played five-a-side on a tiny pitch. It is really hard. You have to be extremely fast and it hones deft ball skills because the pitch is so small. When it comes to playing on a full-size football pitch, the game feels slower. It meant for someone like Messi who had learned to play an accelerated version of the game, football on a full-size pitch became easier to read and master. That makes a lot of sense. I can see now why Lionel Messi really was the ultimate false nine. That's going to be meaningless if you don't know football. I'm not going to explain it because I'll probably do it badly. But if you're really interested, you can look it up on a search engine. Benjamin Franklin. One of the founding fathers of America, a leading politician, author, and scientist. His father told him when he was a child that he was not good enough at writing, so to improve he acquired and read the works of all the great writers of the time. He would then try and reconstruct the entire piece of writing again from memory, and then compare what he had written with the original so he could see all of his mistakes. He even translated the articles into rhyme sometimes to improve his language skills. Okay. In case you're wondering, yes, Benjamin Franklin did own slaves. Has no relevance to the writing skill, but I looked it up just in case it was going to be like he got really good at farming or something, and then it turns out he didn't actually do any of it. But it turns out the writing doesn't really require. Well, I suppose really he probably would have sent his slaves out to buy ink for him. Not that it really makes a difference to the writing bit. It's just worth bringing it up, Sometimes people in history are not that nice. Great Britain's women's hockey team. In the run-up to the 2016 Olympics, this team of super determined women has something called Thinking Thursdays. They still train hard on all the other days of the week too. On Thursdays they really went for it. They were exhausted. At the end of their Thursday session, their coach would ask them to solve problems and think about tactical issues. Sorry. What was it? No, wait, I did read that right, sorry. I'll start that sentence again. At the end of their Thursday session, their coach would ask them to solve problems and think about tactical issues they might face in the next match. Getting used to tackling tricky issues in a state of tiredness made it much easier to think fast when the pressure was on in a grueling match situation. You can read the result on page 124. So let's quickly skip to that. 1, 2, 4. It was an Olympic medal, the gold one. That's nice. So it turns out the British women's hockey team won gold, which is nice, I think. Simone Biles. This American gymnast dedicated her life to training and practice from an early age. She became interested in the sport at the age of 6 and started working with her first trainer at 8 years old. By the time she was 18, Simone had won so many medals that when she travelled to Rio for the 2016 Olympics, everyone expected her to win gold, and she did, 4 times over. Now, funny enough, I'd actually heard of Simone Biles before this. I knew she was an American gymnast. Didn't know she'd won all those gold medals though. Good for her. Just shows what you can do with practice. Just to reinforce the power of practice and perseverance, here's another example of a famous failure. J.K. Rowling. The best-selling author, multi-millionaire and philanthropist, the creator of Harry Potter, probably the most successful book series of all time. I dispute that. I am pretty certain the most successful books ever were the Moomin series by Tove Jansson. As far as I know, she wasn't a transphobe either. But we'll carry on. Rowling was only 32 when the first Harry Potter book was published, and the tales that followed propelled her to stardom. The world she created had inspired films, plays and even a theme park, and she has gone on to write best-selling novels for adults too. So far, I'm not seeing any evidence of failure. But Rowling wrote her first novel in a coffee shop with her baby daughter asleep in a pram next to her. She was unemployed and broke. There was no hint of the fame and fortune to come. And even after she had finished the book, 12 publishers rejected her manuscript. 12! Turn down Harry Potter? J.K. Rowling didn't give up though. She believed in her work even when it seemed that nobody else shared her vision. Finally, a small offer from an editor who could see something magical in the story saw her determination pay off, and the rest is history. Now, as I said before, you may not care for someone's beliefs, but you can still acknowledge the achievement and hard work that they put into it. And that is the approach I'm taking with J.K. Rowling right now. Don't agree with her policies, but I am, however, choosing to respect her achievement. I mean, everyone knows Harry Potter. Load of books and films. I remember seeing the first 2 with my first girlfriend this is 20 plus years ago. I haven't seen them since. You see them in charity shots all the time now, and the books. Back to the book now. Make friends with feedback. When I was 13, I had dreams of becoming a spy, so for fun I used to hide and see how long it would take for my parents to notice I was spying on them. Strangely, they never did. At the time I thought it was because I was reading answers. We'll start that one again, shall we? Strangely, they never did. At the time, I thought it was because I was Redding's answer to James Bond. Not Reading's answer, Redding's answer, as in the town. Or is it a city? I'll have to look that up and put it up in the thing. James Bond was an awesome spy. Was he though? From what I remember the films, he mostly spent his time sleeping around. Looking back, they probably knew I was behind the TV all along, but were so happy I wasn't digging that hole to Australian their flower beds anymore that they just let me get on with it. Okay, but you see, while I thought I was honing my 007 skills, I was actually just sitting in silence on my own. How could I possibly know if I was becoming more like Bond if I never got any feedback? A bit like practicing basketball in the dark. How would you ever know if you had got the ball in the basket? You need the lights on, and knowledge that you missed by a country mile or that you just missed by a millimetre to adapt your attempt next time. Ice skaters or gymnasts get almost instant feedback when they try something new like a somersault. How? Because if it goes wrong they clonk their heads on the floor. It's painful but a quick way to know that they need to do something different next time. To get really good at something you need to find your own equivalent of the head clonk. Preferably someone who will give you honest feedback about where you're going wrong and need to improve. It could be a parent, teacher, coach or friend. The crucial thing is you trust them to be honest with you. If you're on a mission to become good at something on your own, become your own critic. The key is to be honest in your view of how you're doing. It's the surest way to learn and improve. Chapter 5. How do you feel when you see an amazing free kick? So these are examples, okay? There's 5 example things you meant to say how you see. So I'm going to see what I can do. How do you feel when you see an amazing free kick in football that curls into the goal from the halfway line? That's impressive. As far as I know, the only footballer to ever achieve that was David Beckham. I'd like to share the highlight of it because it's an amazing thing, but I'd probably get screwed over by copyright and all that and all. But you can probably look it up, you know. It's easy enough to find. How do you feel when you see a chess grandmaster get into checkmate in 5 minutes flat? I haven't played chess in about 20 odd years, but I think I'd be impressed if I saw that. How do you feel when you see the kid in your class that seems to always come top in every test? Chances are I probably hated that kid. I think personally, but I always hated people. I never really liked people who were achievers, you know? People that could actually do stuff. I always hated those people. I think personal, I mean really, I was more hatred towards myself, but it was easy to project it onto other people. So I'd look at people who could do things and I'd be like, how the hell can you do that? How do you hold it together and achieve this stuff? I hate you so much. But the truth is, I don't really hate them. I hated myself. And funny enough, that part of me still comes up sometimes now when I see people achieving. I think, yeah, I hate you, but I don't really hate you. I hate myself, if I'm being honest. So if you have achieved stuff in your life, please don't think I hate you, because I don't. I just hate myself. It's just easier to project it onto another person than it is to project it onto myself. How do you feel when you see the star of the school play who can remember all of their lines and doesn't seem to get nervous at all? See, this goes into the previous one where, you know, someone can do stuff like that. I was never able to do stuff like that. I started in a school play once. I ruined it at the end, I was told. Because I can't remember what the story was. It was set in Java, I think. And I was like, it was like the three bad guys. I think they're like con merchants or something. And at the end they get chased. You're supposed to run out, but I was running slower than everyone else, so I kind of ran out last. I remember watching the video the next day and someone said, Jimmy ruined that. He was running slower than the others. Can't remember who said that. It's probably best I don't, because I probably wouldn't like them either. But I shouldn't really, because, you know, kids are kids. And after all, I'm still here. Actually thinking about it, it's amazing I actually done that. Back when I had the guts to do stuff like that. What the hell happened to me? On with the book. How do you feel when you see the perfect forehand smash in table tennis, taking 15 metres from table? Yes, I can. Well, I used to be able to, at least. That's impressive. Really is. I played a little bit of table tennis, and that really is seriously impressive. I know, it's tough to imagine Beyonce as a toddler. Weird thing to say, but... Or a time when Neymar had never kicked a football. But these world superstars began life just like you and me. Now, to get where they are today, they had to embrace opportunity, try out new skills, and be prepared to get things wrong. Understanding exactly how people became awesome at stuff is crucial to building a growth mindset. Now this is partly the trap. Because you might look at someone, say like Beyonce, and say, well, obviously her parents took her to all these different schools to learn things, you know, and things about singing and dancing and all that lot, and therefore she had her foot in the door. But, and this is a big but, even though you may have some God-given talent at something, you still got to hone it. You still got to practice it on a daily basis and get it perfect, or at least to the best of your abilities. Because those opportunities are literally just that. You can get the opportunity, you can get the best auditions, but if you're no good at what you do, you're not going to get very far. Don't fall into the trap of thinking every person who was successful cheated in some way. They may have had extra leg ups, but climbing that ladder themselves is what they did. They just climbed it. And we should respect that. If we want a growth mindset ourselves, this is what we need to understand. An opportunity is just that, an opportunity. It's not a gift. It's not the job or the part that we want. It's just an opportunity to get it. The case of Kid Awesome. Remember the table tennis table in my garage and the super competitive brother? When I looked effortlessly good at table tennis at school in my role as Kid Awesome, no one knew the full story. And just think about how Kid Average reacted when he watched the live coverage of the National Table Tennis Championship final. You know, if I switched on the TV and saw myself, you know, as like, say, a travel vlogger or a war correspondent or some big famous actor, I would hate myself. More than I do now, probably. And I probably wouldn't. Bear in mind, I'm thinking about if I hadn't read this book. I'd probably think, that version of me probably got all the opportunities and gifts he wanted to do this. But the truth is, he hadn't. It would be me. Just a different version of me that actually took chances and took the opportunities and adopted the growth mindset. This is quite a depressing video, to be honest with you people tonight. It's making me confront things I really don't want to. But don't worry, I'll be fine. See? I'm super happy. Now back to the book. As Kid Awesome battled for the win, Kid Average couldn't believe the level of speed and skill on show. The young contender on screen might have looked strangely familiar to him, but what really commanded his attention was the way Kid Awesome dominated the game. He had never seen skills like it. With his feet up on the sofa and one eye on the door in case his mum came in and got cross, Kid Average watched the winner and no doubt felt strangely flat. Just then it must have seemed to him that some people were born to be amazing while others never show a sign of being good at anything. If only he had pressed pause to consider what had really gone into Kid Awesome's amazing game. So what did Kid Average not see? One awesome moment, that's what Kid Average witnesses when Kid Awesome secures his crown as a champion table tennis player. What he doesn't see is the long and sometimes difficult journey that led here. The fact is, Kid Awesome has devoted hours to challenging practice. Yes, this moment of victory might have made it all worthwhile, but let me tell you now, there are moments in Kid Awesome's journey when he questions his ability. Tiredness, defeat, even boredom can become obstacles on the path to awesomeness. It takes a particular kind of determination to overcome them, and even more to use them as a learning experience. Without such challenges and difficulties, in fact, Kid Awesome's final victory would not have been so sweet. I think Kid Average knew that he once stood in exactly the same spot as Kid Awesome. They were in the garage before the fork in their lives took them in different directions. What? Our ordinary boy had all the same opportunities to fail to become really good at table tennis and then work hard at becoming the best. Instead, to take the less challenging course through life and walk away from the table tennis table. As a result, having tuned into the closing stage of the epic journey he could have taken, Kid Average considers Kid Awesome's achievement to be completely beyond his reach. Everyone makes mistakes though. Nobody hits a perfect note on the first attempt at singing, or finds they can effortlessly dribble a football straight away. It's a question of learning from experience and recognizing that any learning experience involves making plenty of mistakes. When we witness someone performing at a high level, it doesn't make for very good viewing. The pianist we pay to see can't remember the notes, or the racing driver repeatedly stalls the car. As a result, when it comes to success, we don't often see the whole story. From the hours that must have gone into that amazing performance to the times they have landed face first or hit the wrong notes. When we see someone else's physical exam success, or a great piano performance, or a spectacular win on the tennis court, it is all too easy to fall back into our old ideas of the talent trap. To believe that the person you are watching has been born that way, and hey presto, the fixed mindset is back. So let's get into our growth mindset groove. For that, people, we'll have to wait for next time. So until next time, people, take care of yourselves. Bye.